What, you thought you were going to get away with this? He told you from the beginning. I don't like girls' night outs. I don't like bachelor or bachelorette parties or anything like that.
I was a wife to be, and I got my wedding canceled by my ex-fiancé. I knew from the moment I met my now ex-fiancé that he did not put up with things like bachelorette parties and girls' night out. Things like that, and I was okay with it. Well, I thought I was, but I allowed my friends to talk me into trying to have a bachelorette party behind Mark's back. It didn't work out the way I wanted it. He found out. He actually showed up. He snatched the ring off of my finger. One of the dancers tried to fight him, saying I was being abused by him and I shouldn't marry him anyway, and that I deserved the ring. My fiancé didn't fight that dancer. He just took my ring and he left. I never saw him again after that. I screamed that he couldn't cancel my wedding and the ring belonged to me. He walked right out of my life, close to 20 years down the drain. Yep, 20. My ex and I were together as ACI field technicians. I'm not your typical girly girl. I'm tough, and I was raised by my father, but I'm still beautiful and gorgeous, and I can dress up like a woman when I want. Not to say that I dress up like a man, but it's obvious that I am a bit of a tomboy. We both tested concrete for this company called Patriot Engineering. We actually tested the concrete for the Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. We're actually based out of Ohio, but our company got that contract, and it was amazing. We, Mark and I, started working on it in 2007. That's when both me and my ex-fiancée got to that company, and we worked on the stadium some more in 2008 until it was finalized. I remember our company talking about how this particular contract kept us in business. Around this time, there were a lot of layoffs. I want to say it was an economy crash. My ex-fiancée and I stayed at the job throughout 2008. We eventually left and found a different company. We working for the same company. It was an electrician company. Of course, neither of us were certified, but we both helped out on the drawings and labor assistance. So both my fiance and I have 2-year associate's degrees. So we have some skills and are flexible in many departments. So going to school for drafting made us flexible to work anywhere. I've worked in a mechanical engineering company. I've worked for, like I said, an electrician company, and I've worked for ACI, which is a concrete company. Anyway, that's how me and my ex-fiancée met. We met at the job, and we would work together, and we became boyfriend and girlfriend then and there. We were both 22 years old at the time. His birthday is exactly 1 month after mine. My birthday is July 21st. His is August 21st. We dated until 2012. That's when Mark, my fiance, proposed to me. I couldn't say yes. Not because I didn't want to marry him, but because I couldn't stop crying. I love this man to the end of the earth. I promised him that I'd be loyal to him for the rest of my life before we even got married. I meant that, and I still mean if I can get him back today. Now I will curse him out for ghosting me, but I take him back. I'll prove it to him. We were engaged for over 10 years. I know that sounds crazy, but a lot just kept happening. It got to the point where Mark would say, he thinks it's a sign that we shouldn't get married. I would beg him. He said that a number of times, 3 to 4 times throughout our engagement. Every time he tries to get things right with his career, it just wouldn't work out. So I had more luck with my career than Mark did. Mark tried. He'd get hired somewhere but be the first to get laid off. The second job we both joined, they kept me on while they laid him off. So unfortunately, they knew we were together in a relationship. Plus, there was a weird situation. Our boss had a crush on me. So can you imagine how that made Mark feel? Our boss just had the power to let go of any of us, specifically Mark. I remember Mark telling me how he was showing his dominance. The only reason he did that was to get with me. Mark swore up and down that I slept with him. It's not the case, but since This is the True Story Epic channel. I will tell the truth. So, me and Mark were having issues. He got laid off from the job. Actually, he was fired from the job. He didn't get laid off. Mark wanted me to quit. Mark ended up working at a restaurant called Lee's Famous Recipe. It's a chicken restaurant. It's kind of like a KFC. They sell fried chicken and things like potato wedges, but anyway, Mark wanted me to quit and us to move in together and split the bills. It'll make life so much easier, he said. It was unattractive that Mark was starting to depend on me, but he said to me, if I truly loved him, I'd do it because I knew that our boss likes me, which was true, but I promise you all listening. Before Mark got so insecure, I never ever did anything with our boss. I never flirted back, nothing of any sort. My right hand in the air. I swear I didn't, but for some reason, with Mark being insecure, just showing weakness, it started to push me away. He actually started to push me into the arms of my boss. Now still, I did not sleep with him. I did start to talk to him after hours, off the clock. Phone calls, and I went out with him maybe once or twice. I don't quite remember. I know for sure, definitely one time though. That I'm for sure. What I do remember is, we drank a lot, and I told him I'll never go out with him again because I don't drink this much. I woke up on his couch, but my clothes were on. There was no sex, and I left. I never told Mark about this until years later. Can you imagine? With him being insecure, how he'd take that news. You got drunk and slept on his couch? He'd immediately accuse me, telling me I slept with him and how I was a cheater, when I know I did not. And in all actuality, he really was pushing me into my boss's arms. I didn't really notice how attractive my boss was. I didn't care. I just wanted him to sign my damn paycheck. I didn't quit that job until later, but that caused a big issue between me and Mark, where we ended up breaking up. Now stick with me in the story. This was all before our engagement in 2012. We ended up getting back together in 2011 after a brief breakup. It was kind of like an off-on thing. He'd want to be with me. He'd ask me to tell the truth. Did you sleep with him? Who were you with? For the last 3 weeks and things like that, I would never admit anything. I mean, I wasn't sleeping around, but there were a couple times where we had breaks where I met someone here and there. It was just a fling, that's it. I love Mark. I don't care if I had sex with 100 guys. None of them measure up to Mark, and I stand by that today. So, this is interesting. We ended up finally getting back together in 2012, and that's when he proposed to me. I felt like I wanted to do something special with Mark, but I couldn't think of it. A three-way crossed my mind, Maybe, but I figured that's too messy. I decided that I was going to go on a 2-day fast, and I was going to allow him to do something sexually that we've never done before. We've talked about it before a couple times, but we never did it this time. I was going to let Mark do it. Enter the back door. This was the same night he proposed to me. He just thought I was on a fast, just to be fasting for weight loss, and I had no clue that he was going to propose. So, it all kind of just worked out. Well, I hoped it would. I remember after finally getting the word out of my mouth, I figured, wow, this is going to be the best gift ever. He's going to remember this day. I begged him to get us a hotel room. I wanted to make it special. We found a nice suite for a good price. We were doing it the first time. I told him when he's ready for round 2, I want him to go through my back door. I pulled out lubricant and everything. I asked him to do it. He starts going off on me. You've never wanted to do this. Have you been doing this with someone else? Freaking kidding me. Who taught you this nasty shish? Mark was pissed off, and he didn't speak the remainder of the night. I actually got him to talk the following morning, asking him if he was hungry, and he said yes. We ended up going to Denny's and had breakfast, but he was quiet during that time. He just ate a whole lot. That's how I knew he was frustrated. He was just scarfing food down and ate the rest of mine as well. I really was trying to do something nice for my fiancée at the time, but it blew up in my face. He thought I was just out being buck wild while we were separated at times. That just wasn't true. I had sex with someone. It was always just one time. I never had a relationship with anyone, but it took a while for him to get over it. But he did from 2012 to 2014. Things were good, and then it went bad again. Like I said, Mark had a bad time holding on to a job. This is like no one wanted to keep it. I tried to do my best to get Mark jobs, places where I was working, but it wasn't working out. I don't understand it at all. I'm a woman working in this industry, and he's a man having trouble. It just doesn't make sense. I'm supposed to be the one having trouble. I'm here to tell you all, Mark is a very skilled person. He knows how to work. He knows what he's doing. He has drafting skills, and he can do physical labor as well, but it just wasn't there for him. 2015 roll around. We go into the new year with me, just working at the time. We were living together. It wasn't going well. We were able to pay the bills because he picks up odd jobs, but he'd quit. He didn't like working those jobs like fast food, restaurants, and grocery stores and stuff like that. He felt like he was less of a man. That's what he told me. I told him, well, since he has no trouble working in retail, maybe he should go back to school, maybe for management or something, or just get a communications degree at the bachelor level so he can become a store manager. All these jobs he worked at, like Kroger and Walmart, they absolutely loved him. I remember him telling me one manager told him that he should think about getting into the management program and going back to school to be a manager there. It's a pretty popular grocery store. It's not in every single state, I learned, but it's a big one. But he told me that he was above that. He didn't want to do that. He wasn't going back to school to go into debt. He only would have had to go to school for 2 years. We had associate's degrees, maybe 2.5 years at most. He struggled. We struggled. I was okay taking care of most of the bill, for the most part. We'd split everything down the middle, but I was one that always had extra money, so we were going out to eat and things like that. I was paying, but it didn't bother me. I'm not like a lot of these women who say I would never be in a 50-50 relationship with a man. That's stupid. If I'm the one making the most money, then I'm going to take care of the bills. Why make someone else struggle on a little income while you're sitting there on your money? On top of that, that person is taking care of you financially. That's not fair at all. Any man that wants to get into a relationship with women like that deserves what happens to them. I'm sorry, that's just stupid. I hope this is all for entertainment on the internet and women aren't really thinking like this. My gosh, I did what I had to do. 2018 rolls around and things are looking good. Mark lands a job with an architectural firm in the mechanical department. He also travels often, paid for by the company, to run site analysis and collect existing conditions on buildings that the firm would remodel. Mark loved this job. He came home happy every day, and he was on salary making $57,000 a year. I was still making a little more, but it didn't matter. We basically made the same. I was at $63,000 a year. We were happy, things were great. We talked about the wedding, we planned it, wedding and everything, had so much money saved up, and then 2020 rolls around, right before we were going to start putting money down for the wedding. I remember watching Donald Trump talk about the crisis going wrong in Wuhan, I believe it was, talking about how there's something going around, and they were showing people on the TV dropping like flies. Scared the crap out of me, and it's funny. That actually happened to me when I got sick. I had a fever so high, and I remember leaving my living room and trying to walk to the bedroom. Mark was asleep. Next thing I know, I smacked the ground and woke up immediately, I think. I felt like I got up immediately, but maybe I was there for a while, but I cut my arm and I put a big dent in the wall. Mark didn't even wake up at this time. We didn't know I was sick. I knew something was wrong. We didn't know it was that, but I woke Mark up. He picked me up and took me to the hospital, and I had to stay in the hospital for a little while and remain quarantined. Anyway, March 2020. Mark gets laid off from his job. Yeah, you all have to remember that he's the only one there without a license. Everyone else was a licensed architect, or at least working towards it, or licensed engineers and mechanics. Mark had a bunch of certificates that were just basically worthless. He needed more schooling. Like I said, I don't know how I got so lucky. Maybe because I have a rack. I don't know. Mark comes home telling me it's not meant to be. We don't know what's going to happen to the world. We'd be stupid to drop all this money on the wedding. It's not meant for us to be married. We've been wasting our time. Mark said this, and it made me so sad. He said maybe I should have gone back to school a long time ago, but I was too focused on a relationship with you. That broke my heart because I begged Mark to go back to school to better himself. He knew I was willing to take care of everything. For him to throw that in my face as if I was holding him back, he broke my heart. I told Mark if he wants to break up and go our separate ways, then we can do that. I'm not going to continue to hold him back like he said I was. Then Mark started crying and apologized and said it wasn't my fault. He blamed himself and said he was the reason for not going back to school. He knows that he could have gone back to school, and he apologizes for saying what he said to me. That doesn't mean I forgot about it. I told Mark we don't have to spend the money. Let's just leave it in our savings. That's our savings. I'll keep working. You find another job or you just get unemployment and we'll figure it out. Let's just go down to the courthouse. That was the plan. Go down to the courthouse. But guess what? Another obstacle. There was a process. We couldn't invite as many people as we wanted to. Things were being shut down. Everything was being shut down. Heck, people's trials were being postponed, I was told. The world was changing. So, it was going to take time. We decided to not stress about it. We continued going on the way we were going. This is when I brought up bachelorette bachelor parties. I told him maybe we can just take a small piece of the money, not all of it, and go out with our friends and have a bachelorette party. Our process to getting married is just different than we get married, Mark says to me. Again, why would you ask me about this? You know how I feel about stuff. I don't like that type of stuff. Bachelorette parties or bachelor parties? What do you want? One last dance before you jump the broom? I'm good. Haven't you had done enough of that when we were taking breaks? One thing about Mark is he would get very frustrated and he'd say very hurtful things to me. It'll break my heart. He eventually apologizes, but I never forgot about it. Let me fast forward to this year, 2024. January 2024, we still weren't married for the most part. We were happy though. We got along pretty well. Mark did find work again. Finally, it felt like we could get married. We made it through all that. And now it was time to really get married. We rushed to put down payments down for our wedding. We were going to do it big, and we were going to have an amazing honeymoon. 2 weeks abroad. All that money we put down, let's just be honest here. All of my money that I put down. For the trip abroad, we did get some of that money back, actually 80% of that money. So I actually tried to sneak in a conversation one time when I was drunk and brought up bachelorette parties. He stopped me right then and there and said, "Don't even think about it." My dumb self decided to try to be sneaky about it. My friend talked me into it. So, my girlfriend, actually a few of my girlfriends, said that we should lie and say that another one of our friends are having birthday party, but instead celebrate my bachelorette party. Say it's a friend that Mark doesn't know. I thought I actually sold this and Mark bought it, so I thought he played it off very well. I don't know how he found out the address where we were going to be, but he found us. My girlfriend set up a bachelorette party at a tiki bar. Actually, the exact name is Tiki Tiki Bang Bang. We were to enjoy ourselves and get back on the party bus. The party bus picked us all up at my girlfriend's house and drove us to Tiki Tiki, but we didn't get to go back on that bus because my ex fiance walked right into Tiki Tiki and saw the guy grinding on me. One of the dancers that was on the bus came into the bar with us. Of course, he had to put on clothes, but he was a bit intoxicated and he decided to grind all over me since I was the one getting married. This is so weird how energy works. So the whole time my arms are wrapped around the neck of this guy dancing on me and grinding on me. I can feel this burning sensation on the left side of my face. I kept grabbing my face, thinking that something was burning me or there was some heat or something on me, but nothing. But when the dancer tried to kiss me, I shied away and I looked at my left, and Mark is standing there staring me down. I said, "Oh no, it's over." Mark approached me and he says, "What are you doing? This is the birthday party? Looks like a bachelorette party. Look at the signs. All the girls are dressed up as bridesmaids. You guys have a bachelorette party, huh? Behind my back?" He snatched the ring off my finger. I screamed, "That's my ring. You can't take my ring from me." Mark said, "The wedding is over. I don't care how much money was spent on it. I'm done with you." The guy that was dancing tried to fight Mark, but Mark wasn't having it. Mark left that building, even though we lived together, still, the rest of this year. I have not seen Mark. I have no idea where he is. Mark left everything at our apartment: clothes, shoes, belongings, everything. I know he's alive because when I spoke to his family, they basically told me he's good, but just to stay away. His cousin actually told me that if he was to run into me, he'd probably do years in prison because of how angry he is with me. Just because of a dance. This is so stupid. My special day that I finally was going to get, and I couldn't have it because he ruins this. Freaking he steals my ring. He owes me that ring. You know how much money I paid for him. How many times I covered the bills, covered our food. He freaking just disappears. What kind of weird stuff is that? Who just ghosts someone like that? I am severely pissed off.
What, you thought you were going to get away with this? He told you from the beginning. I don't like girls' night outs. I don't like bachelor or bachelorette parties or anything like that. So the fact that you were asking him to go to your friend's party alerted him. He broke up with you right then and there. It had nothing to do with you sneaking and lying about a bachelorette party. It was the simple fact that you went out to a party anyway. He was done with you. He realized that he wasted his freaking time. I don't feel bad for you. I appreciate the story. And we talked via email. I wrote you and I appreciate the story. Thank you. I told you when I was going to be putting it out, so you can check out the comments like you said you wanted to. But yeah, you are another case of F around and find out. Guys, if you want to send in the story, send it to truestorynation@gmail.com. Here, I'll put it on the screen. That's truestorynation@gmail.com. I'm going to catch you guys at the next one.